Hello, people who might be watching this. My name is Carson. I don't really make YouTube videos, but I kind of want to start. And today I just want to talk about something that has been bugging me a bit. This is about Star Citizen. I would like to make a lot of Star Citizen videos. I love this game. I've put over $1,000 into this game. I own expensive ships and all the likes. But that's not to brag. That's just to say that I have a vested interest in this game. So today I noticed something after reading the Q&A for the Galaxy. And also, this is going to be a brief video because I'm in the middle of studying for finals. So that's why I didn't get to this yesterday. I wanted to make this video yesterday. I just didn't have the time. But anyways, so the Galaxy is this new RSI ship that had a lot of controversy because people think that CIG is just not in a position to keep introducing these large ships. I have a different problem with it. So what I want to talk about very briefly is I think this ship has no purpose, and I'll kind of explain what that means. And I think a lot of its functionalities other ships can do better. On top of that, we'll touch briefly on this here, but yeah, so just kind of summarize my thoughts as concisely as I can. The RSI Galaxy we know as of yesterday, so the 7th of December 2022 is when this information is current. Today's the 8th, so as of yesterday this information was current. The entire middle portion here, I'll kind of direct you with my cursor, it appears that this front portion here is not even on, like, it's not part of the ship. It's just the hull. There's nothing on the interior. So you can kind of cut it off here by the bridge. This back section, probably from here to this area here, would be where your modules go. Living quarters and stuff would be around here. I don't know if the schematics will extend to the side. It looks like just this core rectangle here is kind of the usable portion of the ship. So this ship is modular, meaning this middle section, which I keep pointing out around here, you can remember that back section is a hangar, and then up here is like bridge and living area, but this portion right here will be the modules. So we got the Q&A yesterday, and the number one question, there was many of these, was, is it in active development? And a lot of people had problems with that because people said it's not, that's not a question about the ship's design or anything. I disagree with that. I think the fact that they didn't answer it told us all we need to know. We know, based on the fact that they didn't answer that, the ship is not in active development. That's kind of if it was, they would have eased us, right? They would have said, guys, it's fine, it is. So that alone tells us it's not in active development. Moreover, we learned that the base version of the ship, which is $380. Let me get you pricing just to make sure I'm being accurate here. Okay, yeah, the base is, sorry, 350. Oh, this is war bond. A lot of people use credit. So we'll say 350, but a lot of people are like melting and moving things all around. So it'll cost you 380 credits. So 350 default, which means that the complete version would run you $530. It's a lot of money. For that amount of money, you could buy pretty much anything that this ship can do individually. You can buy a better version of it, which is my problem. So as a freighter, it fails because this ship only has, I believe I did the math, it's like 32 by default and then an additional 512 with the module, so it's barely under 600. So C2 Hercules has more. C2 Hercules is also $50 cheaper. Next, the hospital, it doesn't do that particularly well because the ship is slow, it's not well armed, it's rather large, and it has little to no defenses. It has some missiles and 3 turrets, which are spaced out in a way that they're not very, it's not a well-defended ship. It's not supposed to be either. But point being, it doesn't do that very well either, right? Because for that price, I'd rather have an Apollo. I'd rather have a Cuddy Red where I can run to an actual hospital. I don't think anyone, for like a mobile hospital to be effective, it has to have a very large capacity, and it has to be, okay, so here's the thing. I guess what I'm trying to convey is if you're going to be a big, slow ship, you have to back it up in other regards. Like the Endeavor Mobile Hospital, I don't think we know specifics, but let me look real quick. Let's just make sure. I want to make sure this doesn't tell us how many beds there are here. I was really hoping there'd be just a one-to-one comparison that I could do here. I guess it doesn't matter, but point being, the Hope class of the Endeavor is said to have like a large hospital. Okay, wait, what is this? I was really hoping to get some numbers, but point being, we know that the Hope class hospital will be fairly large, okay? And that we even just saw, go back here, 450 was the original price. I don't think it's been sold in a while, but it's double the size of the Galaxy and cheaper, at least originally. It might be a bit more expensive now, but it's so much larger and has so much more capacity that if I'm going to have a slow undefended ship that I want to be a hospital, I'm going to take the Endeavor, okay? And then the last thing it does, salvage, or refinery, I'm sorry, refinery module, which I think is the most expensive module. No, the hospital, sorry. But these vary in price, which is kind of annoying. But as you can see here, it costs more, several times more than the Expanse. And their argument over, well, why would you not just get an Expanse? Because I can buy at last price, I think over, I know you can't buy fractions of ships, but like 2.5 Expanses for the price of one Galaxy refinery module. And people say, oh, well, it can refine much more material. Like it can do smaller jobs because it has two giant, I think they're reactors, refining reactors. So, it can do so much more volume. And I understand that, but at the same time, for that price point, like I might as well just take two Expanses and it would still be cheaper. So I guess what I'm getting at here is like a lot of people argue that the ship has value because it can do all of these things, right? But my issue with this is for it to do all of these things, you will need to cough up $530. This sale's probably about to end and the ship will go up in price as it moves through concept. It always does. If we're being honest, it'll probably end up around $600. And my only issue with that is it doesn't excel at any of these things individually. And so a lot of people's arguments is that, well, it's modular. It can do many roles. And I get that, right? I really do understand that. But if I can get a ship, if I can buy an Expanse, a Cuddy, and an Apollo, I think, for the price of this ship. That's not a good comparison. Let me think. Well, actually, you're right. Okay, I do see there's some value. I see the point. You can't buy 3 specialized ships which do all of this, but you can buy like a mid-tier cargo hauler. You can buy an Apollo, and then you could also buy an Expanse, and it would barely be more money than this. And all 3 of those ships would excel at that gameplay loop better than this does. It's not a great cargo hauler, it's not a great hospital, and it certainly isn't a great refinery. I guess my only issue with this ship is also that you have to specialize. You need to specialize. I think it would be awesome if, let's say this front, I'm using my hands if you guys can see. Here's my suggestion, or what I would recommend. This ship is an early concept. I know a lot of people were like speculating that it's like, oh, like they're bullshitting us. Like it's almost done. It's not. I don't think it has barely even been drawn more than just the outside hull. I think what would be awesome is let's make this forward portion here usable, right? Like maybe the ship is, I believe, 110 meters. Make it slightly bigger, because I know ships tend to balloon. Make it like 120, 130 meters. Expand out this front portion here, and then 2 modules. You can have 2. That would be awesome. And then increase the price, right? It's perfect. I don't just want a ship that can have a single module. Like the Retaliator has 1 module, but it will always have its base function, right? Like it'll always have the fighting capabilities. The Kraken is said to have some modularity, but it will always have its carrying abilities. It will always have its cargo capacity, right? What else is modular? The Endeavor, right? That one is modular and has no base function, but you can place many modules, right? Like you can have 1 hospital wing, and then I don't remember the exact size specifications, but I know the hospitals are big. So then you maybe can only fit on 1 other module, but you can, I think it's up to 4, right? Up to 4 modules if you use the small ones. Maybe even more. It might be 6. I don't remember the exact configuration, but point being, the Endeavor is used to mix and match, right? And that's awesome. And I do think that these are like things that we need in the verse, right? Like I hate the idea that I can't turn my Cutlass Black into a Cutlass Red or a Cutlass Steel or even a Blue. I hate that those are, several different ships. And then the Spirit series, I hate that I can't just pay, instead of 130 for each one, why can't I just pay like 250 and then just switch it out in game, right? It'd be awesome. So my issue with this is like this ship currently, in my opinion, for its price point has no purpose. because if you want to try any, like, no one is coughing up this much money to try a gameplay loop, right? If you want to try cargo hauling, you're going to pick up like a Dur, or no, a Max. If you want to try a hospital gameplay, you're probably going to get an Apollo, and I believe it's cheaper. Way cheaper. It's way cheaper. So that would excel at that. Or you can get a Cuddy Red or the Pisces Ambulance. Those are several gameplay loops that are much cheaper. If you want to do refining, right now, as far as we can see for the foreseeable future, refining via ship side doesn't have that many advantages, right? Because there's so many mining stations spaced out across the system. We have the Expanse, which is smaller, but it's so much cheaper that I don't really see the value in having this ship being a mobile refinery. In addition to that, it's a lot of wasted space, right? Like, I just think this ship is poorly designed in the regard that it's also a lot of wasted space. Even if we could use this wing here, like, it's like what, like a hallway? This isn't a lot of space. I think we took a big silhouette and added a weird hole here, which means this is some awkward design. We have these here just adding mass without adding, it's just flare, right? And they said this entire forward portion, they admitted in the Q&A that this is just visual flare. So let's, since it's still in concept, and I know it's a very early concept, they can tell us whatever they want, but we know, based on the fact that they didn't answer that question alone, that is in very early concept. Let's like blow the ship up like 20, 30 feet, not much. Go from like 110 to like 130 meters. Or make it, no, yeah, let's do that. Make it a little bit longer. And then add a second module somewhere up front. And I know you're going to have to do some configuring, but do it. Like, do the work. I don't know. It's just really frustrating to me that with a pipeline that, I know I said I talked about, but I guess really is kind of a separate issue. But with a ship pipeline that's that long, like, and many of those ships fill roles that this ship will not do well in, and they'll do better and sometimes they're cheaper. I just don't understand how we could add this ship to the pipeline when it really doesn't have a purpose. It fails to be the best cargo hauler at its price point. It fails to be the best hospital at its price point. And sure, it might be the highest volume refinery ship that's been announced so far, but we know that the Orion will do it better, and that's only barely more expensive. And that one can also mine. So it's like, I see the argument of this ship is good because it's modular and it can do all those purposes, but at the same time, if for you to price it at this level, and then you have to pay for all the individual modules and be over $500 on the first sale, like we always, concept ships always go up in price every time they're resold. So it'll probably go up to like $600 eventually. It's just kind of outrageous to me for a ship that doesn't do anything particularly well. So anyways, that's kind of my rant here. I tried to be a bit constructive. I really do think this ship is totally redeemable. Just make it a little bit bigger, expand this forward section, add a second module, fine. If you could do two things, if I could be a hospital with cargo capacity, if I could have two refinery modules, if I could have two cargo modules, and then balloon this thing up to like 1,000 SCU of cargo, great, right? Or if I could have, I said it's going to be manufacturing. With the space here, the single module I just don't think is going to be that much better than on-the-ground facilities or space station refining or larger medical ships or even smaller ambulances that are faster and will get you somewhere quickly, right? I just don't see anyone choosing this ship to be the ship they purchase for any of these gameplay loops. And I know there's people who have all the money in the world who will buy this and buy the complete version and be like, it's so good because it can do everything. I get it, but for the rest of us, this ship is kind of pointless, it doesn't serve a purpose, and it's just ballooning out the ship pipeline for no real reason. So that's my complaints here. I really hope that this ship gets a bit bigger, and maybe they add a second module or that something changes with it, because as of current, it is, in my opinion, completely useless. So that's my rant. See you guys later. That's all.